I want to pair the next two postures together just so that we can stick with that theme of activating both chains of the nervous system. So the first pose is going to activate the sympathetic nervous system. There's more strengthening happening here. In fact, this is also going to help with proprioception because there's this element of balance and focus. One of the legs is lifted, so you're really going to have to focus on being aware of where your body is in space and time. And then once we're done that challenging posture, which is called Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose, we'll then balance it out with Trikonasana or triangle pose. So Trikonasana gives you a chance to recover. It's more about stretching and releasing tension than it is about strengthening. Okay? So let's start with the pose that's going to activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is half moon. There's two ways you can come into half moon. Let me show you how to come into it from Warrior Two first. So from Warrior Two, or side angle for that matter, the first thing you're going to do is place the front hand to the outside of the front foot so that your thumb lines up with your pinky toe. Now the top hand can rest on the top hip. Sometimes students will find it helpful to inch the back foot up first if they feel like their back foot is too far back and that's going to affect their balance. So option to walk the back foot up. Before you come into the balancing part of this pose, one thing that's really important is to get students to ground through the four corners of this front foot. As soon as you come into the pose, if the inner foot lifts, that's when you're going to fall in that direction. So really root down through the four corners of that front foot. Okay? Now this front hand is sort of like a kickstand. If you need to adjust it and place it somewhere else, it's really wherever helps you feel most balanced. I always say, keep the thumb close to the pinky toe, that works for me, but just know that you can adjust this front hand to wherever works for you. Okay, now staying grounded in those four corners of front foot, the back foot lifts. Take a moment here to find the balance. Then you can work on extending through the balancing leg. In this case, this is the left leg. And then you can work on gradually elevating the back leg. Now for the position of the hips, you want to think of rolling this top hip above the bottom hip. So there's this idea of opening through the hips. Right hip stacks above left hip. Now if you really want to go for it, another thing you can do here is reach the top arm. If you do reach the top arm, see if you can stack your wrist right above your shoulder. Try to square your chest to the right side of the room in this case. Really extend through that lifted leg. You can also flex the lifted foot, so you're pulling the toes towards the shin. And then to go deeper in the stretch, this is where you really find that activation and strengthening through the glutes. You can start to lift the top leg even higher. This is half moon pose. Now, whenever you're ready, you can release. So just take that top hand down, lower your front foot or your lifted foot beside the front foot. And let me actually show you how to get into this pose from this position, okay? This is another place you'll find half moon from Uttanasana forward fold. So same pose, the front hand places to the same position, thumb lines up with pinky toe. From here we take right hand to right hip and we come into the pose from here. So that right leg lifts, it's the exact same posture, just coming into it from a forward fold versus Warrior Two. To recover or to come back to some of that information I said to you a moment ago, stack the right wrist right above the right shoulder, lifting through the top leg, stack the right hip above the left hip. Okay, now to release, take the right hand back down to the right hip, and I want you to step that lifted foot all the way to the back of the mat. Remember, I told you that we'd be going into Trikonasana from here because this is a great place to rest and recover after half moon. So the front hand places to the outside of the front foot. From here, square the chest towards the right side of the room, extend the right arm straight up, and then you can start to extend through the front leg as well. Now from Trikonasana, some modifications to help you are maybe taking this back foot and walking it forward a little bit. So if you feel like your stance is too far, just inch that back foot up. Stay long through the spine. You'll notice that a lot of students want to round through the spine here. So stay long through the spine. Think of one line from tailbone all the way to crown of head. Top arm stays in a straight line as well, so right wrist stacks above right shoulder. And then we want to find a slight rotation and twist through the torso, so we're trying to square the chest to the right so that right ribs stack above left ribs. Another modification, this one's really important, is allowing students that option to have their lower hand a little bit higher up that front leg. Not everyone has that range of motion through the hips to get that front hand all the way to the floor. And so a simple adjustment is just take the hand further up the leg, and you can really go as far as you want depending on what feels comfortable for you. And then maybe go deeper from there, taking the hand further down the leg whenever you feel ready to. And this is Trikonasana.
If you found this video useful and want to see more like this, make sure you subscribe below and don't forget to hit the notification bell.